Turning now to D.C., and where the government shutdown stands, President Biden has signed legislation to avoid a partial federal shutdown and keep the government funded through December 3rd. Congress had passed that bill earlier in the day on yesterday. The legislation averts one crisis, but efforts to prevent a second one seem likely to continue for at least the next couple of weeks, as Democrats and Republicans both dig in on a dispute over how to raise the government's borrowing cap. Well, as the country reached the grim milestone of 700,000 coronavirus-related deaths, drug maker Merck shared data on its experimental COVID-19 pill. This also comes as a group of New York City teachers are looking for some help from the Supreme Court before returning to the classroom next week. Gabe Gutierrez has more from New York.
Some potentially very positive news for anyone who comes down with COVID. A new antiviral drug, a pill that you take as soon as you start to show symptoms. Merck is out with new data this morning showing a 50% reduction in hospitalizations and death. The company says it plans to file for emergency use authorization as soon as possible. Now, this comes as the battle over vaccine mandates intensifies across the country. Yesterday, a group of healthcare workers went before the New York State Supreme Court, arguing that this state's vaccine mandate was invalid. Separately, a group of New York City teachers is now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and block a mandate for students and staff. It's set to go into effect on Monday. But now the battle is also heating up in schools across the country as the National School Boards Association says that it's asking the Biden administration for help in dealing with attacks against students and staff, saying that they amount to domestic terrorism. And all this as the U.S. hits another somber milestone in the fight against COVID. 700,000 lives lost since the start of the pandemic. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, New York.
Let's get a glance at the COVID numbers here in Indiana. We're finally starting to see some better news there. COVID cases are starting to drop after a recent spike. However, more than 50% of ICU beds are still occupied, and half of them are COVID patients. So take a look at this graphic. As you can see, more than 2,000 people are hospitalized right now in Indiana with coronavirus, but that's down from 2,600 earlier this month. So what can you do to make sure you stay healthy? Well, health officials say get the vaccine. So now the CDC is making an urgent push for those who are now pregnant to get the shot. The latest numbers show that 22 pregnant people with COVID died in August. That's the highest monthly total since the start of the pandemic. But studies show the vaccine is safe for those who are expecting, but only 31% are fully vaccinated. Local physicians say their ICUs are filling up with unvaccinated pregnant patients.
To have a loss of life of any sort, but again, when you're making the decision between a woman and her baby, it is heart-wrenching.
Well, the CDC is also recommending the vaccine to those who might become pregnant or who are breastfeeding.
A woman is suing Ascension St. Vincent Hospital in Marion County Court on behalf of her mother. The woman wants her mother to receive ivermectin as a treatment for COVID, which a doctor has prescribed, but the hospital will not allow.
Ivermectin is used to treat parasites in animals and people, but it is not approved by the FDA for the prevention or treatment of COVID-19. A court hearing is scheduled Tuesday afternoon.